Hi everyone, this is Zadrian Smith for PETRIe Spotlight TV, and today I am joined by one of the most well-read, well-versed, and has their posts on contemporary and pop culture. One of the coolest 18-year-olds I know, Mr. Asante Blackk. Asante, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Thank you for that magnificent intro, man.
Of
Nobody's ever
course.
described me that way.
I always tell you, every time I talk to you, I feel like I'm 70, and I almost feel like I'm not cool at all.
No, that was great. That was perfect. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm like, when I say I'm happy to be doing this, like I mean it. Like you're like my brother, and like I'm super excited to get into it, man.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for doing this. I've been wanting to speak to you because I always say to you that I feel really inspired by you and the work that you're doing. Some of those things we're going to dive into in this interview. But I want to start off by talking about Africa. I've
Yeah.
been really influenced by this Nigerian musician named Sean Kuti. And I
Okay.
was watching a lecture that he did. And in the lecture, he said that he feels like the way to become Black is by becoming African. And, you know,
Mm.
just from the time that I've spent with you and your family, it really feels like that sentiment of Africa has been a really big part of your upbringing, and it's something that you guys really hold close to the DNA of your family. And I'd love to speak to you about what role Africa has played in your upbringing and in your family's dynamic.
Ever since I was little, I mean, you've been over to my house, but you come into my house, you see masks from Ghana up on the wall, and a staff from Egypt, and my parents have been to Africa a few times, and I think that they were very, very conscious and very poignant about making sure that we knew that before we came to America, before we were enslaved in America, we were African people. They both took African American studies in college, so they are both very passionate about it and tried to very much so make sure that they pass it down to us, me and my siblings. I remember my mom told me one time when I think maybe she was in college or getting ready to get out of college, and she worked at, I think it must have been like a beauty supply store or something like that. She'll probably kill me if I'm wrong, but yeah, she worked somewhere, and there was this mother and this daughter that came in, and she complimented her on the daughter. She complimented the daughter because the daughter was off and the mother was in some other part of the store. But she goes, she goes something about you're such a beautiful African girl. Of course, it seemed like she was born in America and she was Black, but just my mom and my dad, and they were together at the time. Just the way that they rolled is we're Africans first. So she
Right.
goes and she tells her, oh, you're such a beautiful African girl. The girl goes, no, I'm not African. She goes to her mom, she said I'm African, I'm not African. So it's like it seems like there's a stigma with Black people in America where we kind of try to disconnect ourselves, or there's such a huge divide between Black people and African people. We're really the same. The only difference is, Black people, we came to America and were forced to do things that, horrific things. We're forced into horrific circumstances. But that's really the only difference between us. I'm African at the end of the day. I was born in America, but hey, I'm African. So
Have you been able to trace your roots back to Africa? Do you know?
no, we
Okay.
talk about this all the time, and you know what? I'm gonna try to reinforce this to my parents this year. Like, we got to do it for Christmas or something,
Right.
but we literally talk about it all the time. And I think that's probably why a lot of Black people feel that way too. Because I was watching this video and it was saying it was with Tiffany Haddish and Kevin Hart explaining a different side of white privilege, where a lot of white people, you can trace your history back
Exactly.
100 years. You know what your great grandfathers were doing. You know what their job was, and they were talking about how when you know where you come from, it's a lot easier to understand where you're gonna go.
Yeah.
Us as Black people, we don't know that. That was stripped from us. We don't know where we're from. We don't know what our great grandfather is. Even when we do these ancestry tests, we still don't know the specifics. The tribe, what our people did for a living. So it's definitely something that has to be done. I'm gonna make sure that they get on that.
Another part of white privilege is being able to know your history.
Yeah.
Whoa, like
Like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't know any of it at all. And it's like there's some white people that are like so enveloped in it. Like, oh yeah, I'm, my great grandfather worked with this person, and he was building America and everything. All we know is that our grandparents were probably the ones building the White House.
I also would love to talk to you about your family, the names. You guys have the most amazing names. So your mom is, so we have Ayana and Ayize, and then there's 5 siblings. You're the eldest sibling. And so the
Yeah.
siblings was Asante, Allende,
Mhm.
Akaya, Akina, Adaye. That's the first time I'm getting that
Sir.
right.
Yes,
From
sir.
beginning to end. So what's in the name? Like, did your parents plan out to give everyone an A name? I mean, I just think that's curated so beautifully. Like, what is that?
I know that all of our names are from Africa. They wanted to make sure that we have African names.
What does Asante mean?
Asante means to give thanks. So it's just always reaffirming that sense of gratitude, and it's how I move on a daily basis. I'm grateful for everything that I've been given, that all the opportunities, everything. So that's what that means. But yeah, we all have African names, and I don't know why they decided to give us all A names. I know that my dad, actually, his name hasn't always been Aize. He changed his name from Tony. His name used to be Tony.
Okay.
And it was when he was in college that he decided, okay, I think I want to change my name to an African name. Actually, his last name wasn't even, because my real last name is Ma'at.
Yeah.
His last name wasn't even Ma'at. His name was Tony Morton. He changed his entire name. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he changed his entire name.
Elevate.
Exactly. He's on a different level of consciousness. But he wanted to make sure like we had that, even though we don't have exactly where we're from or don't know exactly who our people are, we want to have some sense of connection to the motherland.
You're the eldest sibling. I'm the eldest of 3 kids as well. But talk to me about what it's been like being the eldest sibling, the pressures of that, the challenges, but also what's the beauty of having 4 younger siblings as well. Like, talk me through that journey as the eldest child.
One thing that I always say is that, and I'm pretty sure this is with all families, but because I'm the oldest, a lot of my younger, or no, all of my younger siblings got to experience some things at an earlier age than I did. One story that I always tell, and my parents don't believe me, but I swear this is true, is that my little siblings, they were allowed to chew gum at like 6 years old. And I remember my parents like tore off like a tiny piece of the corner when I was 10. And they were like, here you go. My younger siblings, they're all right next to each other,
Mm-hmm,
right? So
mm-hmm.
I'm 18, and then we have 15, 14, and getting ready to be 13. So
Also,
they're
there's a
all
bit of a
right.
gap between 15
Exactly.
and 18. I see. Okay.
Exactly. So it's like I guess I would say I'm just, I mean, just in a different place than they are. And they relate to a lot of the same things a lot easier than I do. So it almost feels like I'm kind of like not necessarily as connected with them. But then I've started realizing recently that it's not that I'm not connected with them. It's just a completely different kind of connection. We just
Oh,
have
wow.
a different kind of bond. And I'm able to be that older brother who is going to get on your nerves sometimes, but then is going to try to guide you in the right way. So it's very interesting. And then with Allende, he's being 4 years old. It's
Right.
crazy to think to me. When I'm turning 21, he's gonna be 7.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's nuts. So that's a whole different thing. But I love them to death, and they're amazing.
The family is from DC.
Mm-hmm.
And you just moved, so everyone moved to LA
October.
in October. And was
Last
that move, so that you could, full-time pursue your acting career?
It was a huge debate within the family, actually, when we were trying to figure out if we were going to move out here or not, because my thing was I was still 17 at the time. So what happened was I booked This Is Us,
Right.
and This Is Us, they made me a series regular. So obviously at a certain point when you're a series regular, they're not going to pay for your flights out here anymore, pay for your hotels. They're like, all right, we need you like almost every day on set. You got to just be out here.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
we had to kind of figure that out. And my perspective at the time was, I kind of didn't want to burden the whole family with having to make this move based on this one thing. So I was, and like I said, 17 at the time, getting ready to turn 18. I was like, look, I'm about to be 18. just let me go out there. You know, I'll be good. I'll be fine. You know what I'm saying? I'll make friends. I'll be all right.
And your mom and dad were like, no.
Cut it down. Cut it
Cancel
down.
that.
They said, nah, listen, you're not. And then my biggest thing too was like, obviously my other friends and my other peers, because you know I just got into this industry a couple of years ago, seriously. So I think I relate more to my peers that are, you know, in college or that are, you know, working now. But you know, my friends that are in college, they're not with their families. You know, they're off. They have a different sense of independence right now that I necessarily haven't been able to experience yet, you know? So it's like I was pushing for that and wanted to, you know, do that. But they were like, listen, Asante, college and Hollywood, two completely different things, you know? Kept saying to me, college is controlled independence, you know? It's a controlled environment. While, you know, of course you're going to do what you're going to do, but there's still that level of structure, you know? So the big thing was, even though I was getting ready to turn 18, even though I was getting ready to be legal, they wanted to make sure that the entire family was there to make sure that not only they were just supporting me, but that we were all there and we still had that sense of family to fall back on. And, you know, it was a struggle at first, you know, my siblings, you know, my Akaya, the one right under me, she was going into her freshman year of high school. So, you know, had her friends from 8th grade and everything, getting ready to go to high school together. All of a sudden, got to move cross country. So it was rough, but I think that we've kind of gotten to a point where, you know, we're accepting it and we're able to find new life on the West Coast. And yeah, it's been good. It's been real good.
And coming to the West Coast, so you guys already had some, believe you already had some family there. So your auntie is Samira Wiley.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know, I guess I would say that that's almost like a blessing in disguise because, you know, she's an established actress. And, you know, with you transitioning into becoming an actor, with you coming to LA, what has it been like to have someone very close to you in the family kind of already be established in Hollywood? What lessons and what things have you learned from her? And has she been, you know, what's that relationship like? I would love to know how that's kind of been a benefit to you.
I started acting in the 2nd grade, and I think that my aunt, I think she was already in Juilliard at this point. So, you know, one of the most prestigious acting schools of all time, you know? But I think that she was kind of seeing that I was interested in acting, and she started inviting me to her plays in New York. And I remember the first play that I went to in New York, and I just saw her up there on stage acting alongside some magnificent actors, and I was like, wow, like, you know, it's one thing to be doing this in 2nd grade with your friends, but when people are taking it seriously and like really putting their passion into it and they're working to it, it's like it's such a beautiful thing. And so I was immediately just so encapsulated by
And
that.
this is second grade.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It was like second through 4th grade where I was acting consistently.
Okay.
And I took a break from it, not because, you know, it wasn't a conscious break. It was just we moved to a different part of the DMV, and the school that I went to didn't have a, you know, acting program, so it wasn't really a thing I could do. But yeah, I just remember like seeing her and going to these shows and being so enamored with the way that she, you know, you moved her body on stage and used her voice and all of these things. And then when I finally decided that I wanted to pursue acting, you know, she full-fledgedly supported me. You know, I went to the same camp that she went to when she was my age in DC, and I remember she came to the camp and she spoke to all of the kids and everything. And you know, I think I like won Best Actor or something at the camp. She was like, "Man, Asante is killing it. I ain't never won Best Actor when I was here." But I mean, she's always been there, especially, you know, just being here in LA and, you know, newly being in the industry and seeing her at I've gone to so many different events and I'll see her and be like, what you doing here? You know, but it's good to have that sense of family, you know, because this industry can be cold, you know, I'm not gonna lie, but when there's that familiar face at these events and in these rooms, it just makes it all the better. Yeah.